Hi there, it's Nick Dutch back on the camera again. This is one of my first thing in the morning videos, or at least it's first thing in the morning for me. And the reason it's first thing in the morning for me is, well, it's midday. I've spent most of my night trying to render the last video I put out there for you. It took about 8 hours to get everything sorted out. It was only like about 10 minutes worth of filming or less. And basically look at the result. It was pretty crappy. I've got to get my head around this damn software, so I'm going to be putting out some more stuff bit by bit. So as I can spend more time learning how to produce in widescreen, being able to do widescreen production and editing. The conversion program I've had so far could not actually work in widescreen. I think the new bit of software I've got can now do that, so fingers crossed and hope I can get there. Now, I've just been watching one of the Tooltime videos about the can you believe that God exists type argument, that good old-fashioned chestnut. And he's talking about Shockofgod and what Shockofgod has been trying to say, or trying to communicate, namely prove that atheism is true, which is, of course, as Tooltime pointed out, a bloody stupid question. I don't think that anybody has the capacity to be able to prove the existence or non-existence of God, or indeed to be able to concretely prove that anything in the world or in the supernatural world has concrete objective reality, apart from possibly and rarely the occasional experiences of communication at a distance, which seems to occur once in a while, and the sensations associated with spiritual healing, not necessarily the healing itself though. Those are the only two things that I could actually break down after all my years of experience to be able to say that is concrete, truth and evidence. But on the other hand, there's still personal experiences. Now, can I turn around to you and say that I believe in God? Well, of course, the word God is rather heavily laden. I mean, I can again say that there are personal experiences I've had which make it seem as though consciousness itself is not just limited to the body. There is something outside which, under very peculiar, very rare circumstances, has the ability to provide a form of inspiration, intuition, or an extra message from an apparently external source, which one might as well say is God, or maybe one of his civil servants, or maybe even a freelancer out there in the spirit world who's trying to do something which is right in the eyes of this apparent God creature. Whether any of these things exist or not, I don't know, and nor can I say. I can try and express how I managed to get this state of mind, but even then I would fall incredibly short. Why would I fall incredibly short? Well, because my brain has changed shape and size and all the rest of it with all the experiences that I've had. New neurons have grown and old neurons have died, and all the rest of that. The bottom line is, I am, at any point in my life, a unique individual. I mean, a completely unique individual as far as my brain goes, my brain chemistry, my brain wiring. There's very few ways in which I can concretely and reliably turn around to you and say, yes, this is precisely how it's done. What is the methods of the powers, so to speak, and their attainment. I have no idea whether we can actually make it quite that rigid and quite that concrete. There's been books that I've read many years ago that says, well, what you got to do is say the Lord's Prayer backwards. Well, that's of course a complete and utter heap of horse crap, because that's just muttering a few words. I mean, surely if there is a change which happens in your brain, it's got to happen over many years. Some of it seems to be through religious ways of being or religious ideas and practices. Maybe that because of the brain frequency change which occurs as a result of a lot of peripheral activity. Maybe that's part of it. But does it again mean to say that God exists or the angels exist? No, it's just more convenient when you're in that state of mind to have a temporary suspension of disbelief, to be able to assume that you are talking to something which is outside of yourself, or you are in communication with or trying to receive information from something which is outside of yourself. And it's a bit of a complex little headfuck, but the bottom line is, strange experiences will happen and can happen to you. Am I trying to tell you this is a corroboration of Christian doctrine? Basically, no. I mean, I do occasionally, if I'm feeling sufficiently masochistic enough, watch the God channel on cable, and there is the occasional speech which comes out of the mouth of one of the preachers there, which may have at some places some correlation with something which is inherent to spiritual healing, or within some of the ideas to do with the aura and blessing and laying on of hands and all the rest of that. But then again, there will also be an awful lot of literalist stuff and an awful lot of conspiracy style speaking, you know, as in, okay, the seed's been planted, now watch out for the plow. I mean, come on, what are you trying to do? Terrify your audience? If that's supposed to be a house of God, then surely you're supposed to be providing a sense of being uplifted and a sense of change and a sense of understanding and changing the, you know, the character and the makeup of the individual who's doing all this weird heebie-jeebie stuff that you're doing in your weird charismatic church. But no, that doesn't seem to be present here at all. I can understand why some people would take to religion or literalist religion as a result of having had some strange experiences, because they would naturally assume that this is proof of the existence of God. I think it was on the Nephilimfree channel, in Nephilimfree's early videos. He said he had what essentially amounts to a personal experience which does seem to correlate with one of mine. But the ideas that Nephilimfree operates by and the ideas that I tend to operate by are in fact dramatically different, because he has chosen Bible literalism, the ideas of Kent Hovind, creation science, which of course is not science, it is a combination of lies, as opposed to myself, who still does prayerful, meditative, religious exercises and still accepts completely and utterly everything which has come out of the scientific community, everything from the camera in front of me, everything from the broadband internet system that we've got, everything from the organization of the planets, the development of the universe from the Big Bang, whatever precisely the Big Bang was. No, we don't know what happened before the Big Bang, and if we don't know something, we've got to be able to just turn around and say we don't know it. But the natural universe, the physical natural universe, and spiritual experiences are two completely different things. Alright, so you can't apply the same level of analysis that you would to what is essentially a religious or a spiritual experience with that of the natural world. It's two completely different subjects. And even if they aren't completely different subjects, then basically it's worthwhile keeping them separate, so you can basically keep your marbles and still be able to function within society. And I severely suspect that Nephilimfree is struggling with dealing with people, dealing with life. So that's just a quick ramble from the mind of Nick Dutch for today. Good fortune, God and or Goddess and all none of the above bless. Don't go crazy, and keep your fingers crossed that I can actually edit and render this video in widescreen, and then hopefully I'll be able to move on from there and be able to go on to HD. Speak to you in a while. Bye for now.